some toys in here.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? It's the man child. Okay, so today for review, I'm going to go over my Masters Universe new Eternia Masterverse Snout Spout figure. That was a Mattel Creations exclusive, part of that sale. So yeah, the sale just went off a few days ago, and I already got mine in the mail. And I talked with some people on Instagram, or once I posted the pics on this, and same thing, and people already get them on the doorsteps. That's awesome. I hope Mattel Creations going forward does this with all the Masterverse and Origins figures. Now he's still up for pre-order. Mattel Creations, like a lot of Masterverse figures are, you know, they're kind of hit or miss with a lot of people, and they sit there to where the Origins just sells out. Especially the vintage inspired Origins figures coming. They're selling out quick. But yeah, so you get this yeah, kind of, I want to call it a shoe or pizza box with these figures are coming in. It's part of the windowless packaging that Mattel Creations Masterverse figures doing anyway. Kind of mixed on that. And to be honest with you, I don't really save this box. It's not something I need, but anyway, it's the front of the box. So if you spin it around, there's some more additional art. Looking pretty cool. SNOUT SPOUT himself. And in order to open this, if you're not familiar with these newer boxes, so we got, all right, there's some SNOUT SPOUT, the name there, and it kind of gives a little bio. Check that out, right? And I'm going to open up the box, and then once you do that, you got this trifold piece of art here. And let's see, so that's going to pull out. And yeah, there's a SNOUT SPOUT figure. Looking really cool. So here's a little closer look at that trifold piece of art that I just pulled out of that shoebox packaging. Yeah, again, awesome art. So I'm going to keep this. I'm probably not going to keep the box once I take SNOUT SPOUT out and review them. But I love it. And it looks like he's battling, yeah, something to do with the Snake Men in the background. Looks like we have the Snake Men tower going back there with the lava coming out of snakes, from what I can see. Even have some hints going back here to some of the Snake Men, the shield, the sword, and the staff that, like, some of the Snake Men figures come with. And then if you flip it around, check that out. So yeah, now you have this kind of ruins with the Snake Men statues in the background. We have Lady Slither over here. There's King Hiss. Looks like we have a snake throne. See some pterodactyls in the background, so I'm guessing it's going back to like pre-Eternia or something like that. You see all the snakes, but really awesome piece of art. I like it. And you can also probably use this as a background diorama for your SNOUT SPOUT figure to sit on if you want to, when you have them up in your collection. And here's a little closer look at SNOUT SPOUT's new bio. You want to pause and read that for people who are into that. Okay, so I got SNOUT SPOUT and all those accessories out of package. You want to take a look at that? I got to say, for a Masterverse figure, I'm really impressed at the overall design and what you get. You know, SNOUT SPOUT's not exactly high on the list for Motu figures. I mean, it's about nostalgia at this point, going back to the Origins classics and whatnot. But yeah, I'm glad they put this figure in the Masterverse line, how they went about him. Just as oversized, the head design, all the accessories. Now, he doesn't shoot water. I wasn't sure if he did at first. I didn't suspect so, because that's a whole other technical issue with, you know, the action feature thing, all that good stuff. But they do give him a blast effect. But I'm really impressed with what you get. And if you're not familiar, all SNOUT SPOUT's accessories comes in this box with his name on it. It just says Heroic Water Blasting Firefighter. And the figure is tied inside the box with these paper ties on the legs, the waist, and the arms. I don't show all that taking it out, but that's how he secured it. And once you cut it out, if you want to put him back in place, you'd have to rig some kind of plastic ties or something. And now, bringing in SNOUT SPOUT for a closer look at his head sculpt and trunk design, you are not beating that head sculpt for a modernized SNOUT SPOUT figure. I mean, the classics did a good job with their head sculpt. Mine's in card, and I do have a spare 2000X Classics head that came in a packaging, which I'm going to try on this figure. But look at that design. Holy cow. At first, I thought it was die-cast metal. That's just how solid it feels, and the overall, it's not colored that way, but the casting it's in. That's just the color it's cast in, I believe. I don't think it's painted. But look at that. Holy, unbelievable. So you can see the design of the mechanical ears. Now, they do articulate. They can, let's see. Okay, just go, so they can go all the way forward and back like that. It can't rotate. So they're kind of on like a single hinge joint on the inside of the head. But that's pretty neat. You know, both ears do the same. So that's sort of like an effect, I guess, when he's blasting water. You know, the ears can go back or something like that. Or if you just want to keep them forward. Yeah, look at the eyes. So you have glass eyes, and then you have, I'm going to spin the head around for a second. So if you can see him back of the head, you have that, I think they call it a light piped effect eyes. So a light goes through and it makes the actual glass eyes glow. So I'm going to bring in a light for a second. Right, I'll turn this on and check that out. So, see that? right? So if you had sunlight or he's just sitting on your shelf with ambient light coming in, the eyes will actually glow. That in itself, I didn't expect that for this Snout Spout figure. So aside from the eyes and that piece in the back, you can just see all the sculpting and yeah, circuitry on this helmet slash mechanical or cybernetic elephant head, right? That Snout Spout is always known for. Now he does have a couple of steel tusks here. They can also rotate, go back and forth, so you can put them in a down position or all the way up. I'm just going to leave them like this. So it looks natural. Now, I thought I read on the Creations website that you got a dual pair of tusks or something, or an additional pair. Maybe that was part of the early concept. I only see one pair, and it looks like you wanted to. You can actually mess around before you can pop these out. I'm just going to leave it because I don't have a pair. But it looks like you could take them out and put another pair of tusks in there if they had them. Maybe they cut it from the design or something. I don't know. But anyway, they do rotate, and they looks like they come out. Now, of course, the biggest thing aside the head and the eyes, the ears, is the trunk. Look at that. That is an awesome design. Now has let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 articulation points, I want to say. So you have a main one up at the head, so you know the snout can go up and down and it can spin. Then you have a second hinge joint on the lower end that can go all the way, you know, up, all the way down. That can spin as well. Then another articulation point down here, so same thing. That one's a little, that don't move as much of mine. But you can see the joint there can spin, and then you have another hinge joint on the outer end. All right, same thing. It can spin, but it does not go up and down. It's like it's recessed too far, and maybe it's not supposed to. To me, I think this most natural look, or forward or down. But yeah, I mean, another cool design with the overall mechanical spout, and then you can see the hole here that the blast effect, which I'll get into soon, is going to go in. Let's see, spinning around. So we took a look at the back of the head again. We know this. Here's a better detail of the ears. Now you have a hole plug in that is going to be for the hose that's going to go on this backpack. Now I already put this backpack on. Let's take a quick look at it. So you have a couple different holes going here. So you have like the main line that's going to go to his head, right, to his snout. And it looks like you have some indicators on the backpack, which is pretty cool. You had it clear. It looks like there's different water levels. I'm guessing that one's a pressure vessel and he has maybe hot and cold, almost like a mixing kind of thing, because he's going to have two other lines going to go here later. Well, we'll get into that soon. I know I'm jumping ahead, but yeah, you can see down in here he has like a mixing valve or something. Pretty neat. But that's the overall backpack, and you got some ends here. It looks like you can put some weapons or the axe in. Now I'm going to take this off for a second because I already put it on. So there's a better look at the back and the overall chest armor. You know, the back of it anyway, how the backpack goes on, or you can leave it off. He has some individual shoulder pieces here. You can see they're in red, kind of going back to like a fire hydrant or something, the color. And it looks like they can also pop out as well. All right, and you can see how the armor comes apart. So here's the front, right? And so I mean, I'm jumping around here. There's so much to look at. Okay, so as far as going back to the head, as far as the articulation, let me finish that up. Sorry. You can go all the way left to right, look all the way down about that far, and go all the way up. That's awesome. But because of the weight of the snout and head, mine does have a tendency to fall forward. You know, just the overall peg. So next thing I want to do is let's remove the head for a second. Take a look at the ball peg. And now with the head removed, here's a better look at how tall the neck is and the overall ball peg. Just a typical Masterverse Origins style ball peg. Now we get a better look at these shoulder pieces on the left and right side. Yeah, they can come out of the main armor here. So with the head off for a second, I'm going to remove this armor as well, right? So we took a good look at that, the upper piece anyway. And there's two ends here. It looks like you'll just pop the left side and then the right side. And then once you break both of those buckles, looks like you pull the whole armor right over the neck with the head off. So yeah, you have to take the head off anyway to remove this, and it pulls off from the chest. And now here's a closer look at that armor, or the main harness, we'll call it, off the body. Yeah, awesome design. I like it. It looks like we have another piece in here for one of the hoses later on, I guess. Again, here's those shoulder pieces left and right. They look identical. And it looks like you want to take them out. You can. You know, you have to heat this up and push these out. I try getting them out. They're not coming out easy, but they definitely come out. I'm just going to leave them in. I think they look cool, right? Once again, here's the back. We know how the main buckles snap together. And now, once again, jumping back to Snout Spout. Of course, I put the head back on. I'm going to leave the armor and the backpack off for now, because I like to break the figures down to their basic buck and, you know, legs and arms and whatnot, and put everything back on. We'll go over the action features and all that good stuff. So, yeah, that's the overall design with the head on. Of course, the armor removed. All right, now we got a better look at the articulation, the overall design. If you didn't want to use it, just leave him like that or put some other type of armor that will fit him from who knows who. Now, moving down, he also has this, utility belt. It looks like it has a pressure or water valve, or I like to call it a mixing valve, where you can mix hot and cold or something like that. We'll get into this soon. But it's cool. You have that little piece that spins around. So turning them around as well. There's the back. And I also want to remove that off the body as well. And just, you're going to have to push this out of the buckle, take it apart. And now here's a little close look at that utility belt off the body. So yeah, we already went over the valve. I'm going to put this back on when we're finished the articulation. We'll set them all up. And of course I had to pop this buckle in the back. Now I did have to use a blow dryer. Some of these really fight you. Just the way these catch in there and you like rip your fingers apart. So it's easy to heat this and they pop right apart like that. And now here's another look with Snout Spout once again with all the gear removed from his body, the harness and of course the belt. So that's how he comes. We wanted to leave him like that, or again put some other type of setup on him from another figure. I like the color too on him. It works really well for this particular Masterverse version. Usually Snout Spout's a dark orange color, like the Origins went about, or Classics. I'll bring the Origins in a little while. We'll compare and mix and match parts. But yeah, I like this. And also has a wash in it. So bringing the body in for close look, you can see that. It's a light orange, like a I want to say a pumpkin orange color. That's more of a dark orange. But yeah, just a light color, but then it has dark highlights in it. It's a good combination, I think, for this particular figure. Okay, so with all the gear off the body, of course leaving the head on, let's go over all the articulation because we can get a better look at it. And none of the gear I can see hinders anything, so we'll just leave it off the moment. So we run over the head, just, yeah, incredible. Awesome as far as articulation, design. Turn all the way left to right, let's get out of the way for a minute. Moving down, he has a larger chest and ab design. Now this, to me, kind of looks like I want to say, maybe the new Battle Armored He-Man from the Revolution cartoon chest. Looks something like that to me. It's a larger chest anyway, buck. Possibly the abs too. It sort of looks like where they got that design from. Anyway, so of course he has the upper ab crunch. You can spin at the ab. Go all the way forward about that far and back. You can spin at the waist. As far as the arms, so the articulation, you go up, down, forward, back. Has a bicep swivel. You can bend the hand all the way to the face. He has this band, well, on both sides, left and right. These are sculpted on, like bicep bands. They're all part of the sculpt, but painted. So we already say you can bend at the elbow, you can spin at the elbow. What I like with this figure, too, for some reason, something with the bicep looks different, too. It doesn't have that, like, goofy cut, you know? So he looks sort of like goes back to more of the Classics figure. Because that was a big complaint with a lot of Masterverse figures, you know? It's just, they get the bicep going that goes back to the vintage inspiration of Motu, but then they had this weird cut for the double hinge joint. But now I look at it, I don't know, is that a single joint there? It might be a different joint to do that. That looks so much better. I wish they all came with this. Wow. So that's an improvement from what I see with Snout Spout. All right, so we move down to the forearm. He has these gloves on. Now, these are a separate sculpt, but I want to say, let me see, but they're glued on. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. They're not part of the armor, separate sculpt. He comes with two semi-closed or weapon gripping hands on the left and right side. Now, okay, these are pretty soft. That's good, because a lot of figures are so hard I can't even get a weapon into them. And this one can spin and go in and out in hinge joint. Of course, they're molded in a purplish color, going back to Snout Spout's original design and gloves. And the left sides are all the same. Can spin, go in and out. And so let me remove one of the hands for a second. And here's a closer look at that hand out of the right side. So it does have the larger Masterverse or New Eternia style pegs, which I like a lot better instead of them little Origins pegs. And yeah, so you can see this is a separate piece. How's it come off? No, mine's glued or pegged on or something. I guess if you want to customize, you could take it off. I don't know what's under it, but it's definitely a separate piece. All right, so putting the hand back in Snout Spout, moving forward. Now, before I finish up the articulation, I just wanted to confirm that if this is the Revolution new He-Man buck, it's actually larger. Yeah, the whole figure, from what I can see, from the chest, it's different. It's a whole new design. Right, front and back. Yeah, it's actually a larger buck. I thought it was the same one. And even the arms. So you can see the difference. See, even this He-Man, so the Snout Spout has larger arms with the rounded bicep. And it's a different, he doesn't have the double hinge joint, it's a single. Where these figures have the double, and that's why they got to make this goofy cut. You know, and it's not bad when they bend the arm all the way in, because it looks like the biceps flex and it blends in. But when you do this, and your figures, You know, the arms are sticking out. You got this giant piece missing. And, you know, one of the most nostalgic parts of Motu is that giant hunched bicep, like they're always doing curls or something, right? I'm going to bring in a Classics figure, good old Classics He-Man. So you had Classics too. A lot of us loved this design. Now they had a different single hinge joint type of system. They didn't have the flexibilities, you know, Masterverse figures have, but I love that design. And that's kind of what they did with Snout Spout. But yeah, he has larger arms, larger buck, larger everything, the legs. Wow. So the other thing I wanted to try, why I have the Revolution He-Man out with the newer chest and ab setup. Of course, I had to take the head off again. I wanted to try the chest armor because this is designed to fit that new style Revolution He-Man or the smaller regular Masterverse figure bodies. I did this in my review. It works. And same thing with the battle armor will also work. But check that out. Yep, that cross harness won't even fit Snout Spout. It's not even close. It's just how much larger the buck and chest is. So you wanted to retrofit this figure with different armor pieces from Skeletor, He-Man, or whatever for you customizers. Yeah, a lot of the armor pieces, depending on the figure, is not going to work on this new chest design. Alright, so once again, putting the head back on, moving down, I'm going to finish up the articulation. Yeah, I just wanted to get that away to confirm with the chest and regular armor pieces fit. Yeah, a whole different figure as far as design and size. So we went over the arms. I absolutely love this regular cut, and I'd rather a single joint instead of a double joint like the He-Man has. Just looks better. We know he spins at the waist, moving down. You can see his unique style belt and loincloth. Yeah, going back to the vintage Snout Spout, it has something like that. You can see on the belt buckle, oh, there are a couple of tusks. Okay, that makes sense. Pretty cool. Front and back. Now, moving down to the legs, what's interesting, he has those, I think they call them drop hips or drop joints. See that? So the leg can go all the way up into the loincloth. There's the pad and down. When my figure came out of box, it looked like that on the one side. I was like, oh, God, that don't look good. But then I'm like, oh, cool. It moves up and down both sides. So you do have that new articulation with this Snout Spout figure. You can go all the way out with a split and kick all the way forward like that. And even forward, you can push the leg out a little. Okay, no, it only goes up and down this way. Sorry. All right, so it goes all the way out with a kick. You can go all the way back about that far. Can bend. Wow, at the knee, it's tight. Okay. He has a thigh cut. Again, there's two other bands sculpted around the legs, the thighs, like up on the biceps, similar to that. Painted. He has these large, style boots, like fireman boots or something. New Eternia fireman boots. They can spin. Looks like, they can come off. I don't know what kind of pegs are under them. They're really on there. I'm going to leave it alone for now. And then he has the, the regular foot, his own style foot to match the boot. They can go up and down, rock side to side. Has steel tips, too, on the boot. And the other side's all the same as far as the articulation. But that knee is really tight. Got to be careful of that. I even have chips of paint falling, so just watch your figure. I can spin too, go up and down and rock side to side. And does it have toe articulation? No, it's just a steel tip on the toes. Yeah, awesome design though. And real quick, going back to these boots. So I used a blow dryer, which I have off on camera to loosen parts up. I tried heating both of them, pulling them off. And as I pull them, it looks like there's a peg in there, but it looks like it's ready to snap. I don't even see the head of the peg trying to come out. So it might be something you have to put these in hot water, give them more time. But I just want to confirm they are regular Masterverse pegs. And yeah, I'm not going to break these boots. I like them on this figure. I'm not going to change out with He-Man boots, but for customizers, just be careful of that. I heard somebody online too saying their Snout Spout moving the arm already broke off. That's happened to me with figures in the past. It's just, you got to be careful, heat them up. But sometimes you get QC issues, and if it ain't working, don't force it. I'm just going to leave it. And now moving on with Snout Spout's accessories. So we already kind of took a look at the water tank, but here it is once again a little closer. We already seen the indicators in the back. Right, you got these holes underneath, one on the top. Looks like I have a piece here too for the axe, and this is how it plugs in. And then you also get these 3 different supply lines, we'll call it, for Snout Spout. So you get 2 long ones that are going to go on from the bottom of the tank around to that belt, it looks like, and you got a short one that goes on back of the head. So with the tank still out, again, the short one's going to plug into this top of the tank first. And then we'll take one of these other supply lines and just plug it in the left side. And then, of course, put the other one on the right or left, or however you want to plug in. It doesn't matter. And they're both the same exact length. And they're pretty flexible. Again, they look like they're real steel, but they're just plastic and molded in that bright silverish color. And then, of course, Snout Spout comes with 2 additional complete closed punching fists for left and right side with larger pegs and hinge joints going in and out. I don't use them, but you get them. Then you get this really cool water blast effect that's in a translucent blue color. You can see the peg that's going to plug into the snout, which we'll do pretty soon. So it's pretty neat to give you that. And then for his final accessory, you get his awesome, iconic firefighter axe. Look at that. Man, that's just so cool. You have the handle here, you can see, or the guard for the handle. Yeah, they're all designed, colors casted in. You got some battle damage on the front and back, and got a hole into here too. It looks like you can plug this in as well. All right, so once again, we have Snout Spout all geared up with the stuff he came on in box, right? The belt, the harness, and all good stuff. So I already showed you how we set the backpack up, or I have most of it ready to go. Once again, see the smaller end, it's going to go in the head. It's the right side up. So it's going to plug into the back of this harness with those pegs. And then once the backpack is plugged into the harness, you can put this piece in the back of the head, or vice versa. You can put this in the head. You can set up however you want. I just thought it was easier to put it all together first. And now with that main line plugged into the backpack and the head, so you still have pretty good articulations, flexible enough. You can go, let's see, okay, you can look all the way up, go down, go left, spin left to right. And now dropping down to these two other supply lines, we'll call them the hot and cold. So I'm just going to move them to the left and right side. And then spinning them around, so we're going to call these the hot and cold supply ends on this mixing valve. So it doesn't matter which way they, I don't know if do they? Yeah, okay, maybe how it matters which way they plug in. Let me see. No, maybe they don't. Like, in other words, I don't know if they go, if this is forward or back. Seems like it doesn't matter. Kind of neat, but they are sloppy. They don't really, yeah, see, it feels like something could just pop right off. Let me try this way. Does that matter? Yeah, that way might be better. So yeah, there kind of is a way depending on how these lines are all twisted up. All right, might be better like that. And now with his firefighting water distribution line set up, I'm going to put the axe and just put it in the right hand for now. And now there's a complete look with that set up. So we have all his firefighter gear and water lines tied in, axe in the right hand for now. I'm going left, keep it right. Got the snout protruded forward, kind of articulate the tusks in the right position. I'm going to put the ears back. Check that out. Man, that is an impressive looking figure. And then the last effect is the water blast effect, which I already showed. And that's just going to plug into the snout like he's blasting some water. So it's just a peg. It's going to push right in like this. And now there's a look with that setup, and that's pretty much the last piece he comes with. Yeah, there's a lot of weight going on here with the head. You know, it's like the ball peg starts to get sloppy. You can see that. It doesn't help that this hose is pushing in the back. Now, what's cool is you can disconnect that. You don't have to use that hose if you don't want to. It's just, I guess, the logical sense to make it look like where the water's coming from. But if you don't want it, you just want to use the head without it, you could just, pull right out of the back. And then with the same setup, it would look like that. You want to use that hose in the back. You have better articulation. Kind of going back to what the vintage figure did, which is the water. He had a backpack, but you filled the backpack, and it had a whole water cavity inside the body. Had a squirt mechanism, went through the head. So you could pretend something like that with him. He's just totally cybernetic, and everything's through the body, without a line going through his head. So the other thing, too, is part of this harness, he has another, like a port that looks like a hose would go into it. Now, you notice smaller piece goes from the backpack to the head. Yeah, but so this peg fits this as well. And it can't reach back at the head. I'm like, what's the idea of that? But then I'm looking at it, going back to this axe and that. It could be another port to shoot water out of at the top of this axe, the hole on top of the axe. Now, it doesn't show nothing like that in a box or direction. So I'm going to remove this axe from the hand. We have this set up through here. I'm going to try to put this on the end. And now with that main line hooked up to this harness that goes through his body or is feeding out his backpack or something. So yeah, it hooks into the back of the axe. That's what it's meant for, I guess. And you can have a water shooting effect out of the axe. But it's not the most practical thing because the line's so short. Try to move it around, hold it in hand. Then I thought maybe the top of the axe too, you can use this water effect. Like it would plug in. I was messing around with it, but it's really difficult. Let me see. Oh yeah, okay, so check that out. By messing around with it, you can also plug the water effect on the end of the axe. And then repositioning the axe in the hand, putting it down, bending that line. Yeah, kind of like use the axe as another type of nozzle or hose. And the last thing you do too is just plug the water thing right out of this distribution valve and, keep his trunk up in the air. You'd have to get another one of these. You wanted a water effect. You could put the line back in the backpack. I just left it out or leave it. But yeah, got all these weird combinations to set up as far as the water and the lines. And then one more time looking at the back of the backpack. So you could take the axe and you see there's a little area for her to clip the axe on, hold it. It makes sense to put this in maybe towards his hip. Maybe you could put it this way too, but yeah, then blade hits the back of the head. So you can do that, or take this little hose piece. You don't want to plug it on the back of the head, and it can hold that as well. Okay, so moving forward with some comparisons and mixing and matching of parts. So, of course, we have our new Masterverse Snout Spout against my carded classic Snout Spout. So, if you're not familiar, it's kind of how the classics went about Snout Spout. Now, the question would be, does any of these parts fit the classics? Being that most of my classics are in cards, I do have some loose ones laying around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my spare He-Man buck. That's what I always use for examples if I don't have, you know, a main classics figure to compare Masterverse during my reviews. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch these parts in the head on this He-Man buck and body, because it's the same body as Snout Spout without his head and stuff on, and see if it works. So first thing, taking a look at the harness and backpack and belt on the classics buck, in this case He-Man. So if you had a classic Snout Spout and want to use this configuration on that figure, you can, or you can make a custom Snout Spout with a Skeletor He-Man body if you want, as I'm trying to do. So you can see everything, it does fit, but it is a little bit sloppy for the most part. You know, now they give you a double buckle back here, which you don't need. The Masterverse Snout Spout only takes the first one. So that second one does help tighten up the belt. The axe fits in hand with the classics hands. Not a bad setup. So then the last part is this head. So this is always an issue with Masterverse heads and classics ball pegs. These are usually loose, and the classics heads are a little tight on Masterverse, but you can make them work. So let's see. I'm going to put this on He-Man's head. I'm just going to leave that hose off for now. So, yeah, it just kind of sits there. You can always put some putty in here or tape, tighten it up, but for the most part, it is holding. You're not going to get great articulation because, again, it's slopping the ball peg. You would have to tighten that up by as I mentioned, or however ways you would tighten the ball, you know, ideas you use of customizing. But for the most part, yeah, that's the Masterverse Snout Spout setup on a classics buck and body, in this case He-Man. And then I'm just going to let me plug this into the backpack. And you can still use that hose in the backpack, but it really throws the head off because of the distance, where the Masterverse one is taller. But it can work, you don't need that hose. But for the most part, you know, it's pretty much a setup on a classics buck and body. And while we still have the classics out and all this gear set up on a classics buck, this is a 2000X classic Snout Spout head that came in a 2000X pack. Came with like 6 different heads or something. So this goes back to the 2000X show. It's designed for classics. I'm also going to try this on the Masterverse soon. Really cool head now. You're not going to plug nothing in the back of it. But let's put this on this ball peg with this setup on He-Man. See what that looks like. And now there's a look with that setup. So if you had a classic Snout Spout body or whatever buck you wanted from the classics, and you want to use this Masterverse, you know, set up the armor, the backpack, the hoses, all that deal, the belt, and you had this head, or you had the regular Vintage Inspired Classic Snout Spout head that I have in card. Kind of visualize that on a figure, but that's a cool setup, and it's neat that you can get it to work with a classics figure. And once again, jumping back to the Masterverse Snout Spout, all done up with his gear and equipment. I did put that classics 2000X inspired Snout Spout head on, so you can check that out. I did have to heat it up with a blow dryer, push it on the ball peg. As I mentioned, that's typical of most classics heads with Masterverse figures. So you want to take a look at that. That's awesome. That's an awesome head on that figure with that setup. And it does articulate, but they are usually really tight with the classics head. You got to work them in, go back and forth, go down about that far and back. Now, he doesn't have any articulation in the trunk. It's a pre-posed kind of thing. But still, really cool look, and it works great on this body figure. And now, of course, I brought in the Motu Origin Snout Spout against our Masterverse Snout Spout as far as comparison, what parts we could try to mix and match. I mean, it's not even a fair comparison. I gotta say, though, I was excited when the Origin Snout Spout came out, just for the accessories they gave him, and he actually had the water effect. Now, I have the Filmation style head on mine. I just like that without the hose coming out of the back. And if you're not familiar, most of these have Snout Spout. So this is the Vintage Inspire head. All right, and this is basically what the classics gave you. I'll show you. I'll compare it in a second, what I have in card. They did a good job with this head, I thought. It looks really good, the way it works on the body, and the way, the water comes out the spout. It's flexible. This does have this bulky water-looking tank with the hose I mentioned. I thought about cutting this, and if I ever wanted to use it, you could put like one of those fish tank adapters that go inside it's like a male end. It goes in between the female ends of the hose, and you can it's like a repair connector. Because I want the Vintage Inspire head, but then I want to mess up the hose. Yeah, I didn't like the setup with a hose going back in my Snout Spout's head, because the Vintage never had that. It was an internal thing. But I like the setup with this Masterverse Snout Spout. Anyway, let's see what parts we can switch between the two. So sticking to the Masterverse for the moment, once again I took the head off. I'm going to use this vintage inspired Origin Snout Spout head with the tank. Now I just want to kind of show you a quick comparison. It's very close to the Classics head. I mean, the whole idea of the Classics go off what the Vintage did, and the Origins did the same thing, but better. His head's bigger, though. It doesn't have a tank or hose coming out of the back, but the problem with the Classic spout was they were really notorious for cracking and splitting when you move them around. I can even see in here. It doesn't look good. The color on it looks like something that, yeah, I wouldn't want to play around with. But it's fun and card, you know, to stare at. But anyway, let me see what I can do with this head on this Masterverse body. Okay, so I have that vintage-inspired Origin Snout Spout head on the Masterverse body. I mean, it fits the ball peg perfect. It looks great, articulates well. Now, what's cool with this is you can make this Masterverse Snout Spout have an action feature with the Origins head if you have it. So the other thing is, obviously, I took off the backpack and these pieces because they get in the way. You don't need them. And then the biggest thing is just trying to clip this backpack with the clip in one of these ends, or the belt. Now, you can kind of get it back here, but the armor's a little tight. It keeps popping off. It's something you got to mess around with. I did get it to work, but then these things are in the way. And this is adjustable, by the way, if you're not familiar with this hose. I tried it on the middle end. Again, I tried popping one of these straps to get this in. It kind of hooked and it fell off. So it seems to me is maybe hooking on the belt would be the best option. And there you go. So I just hooked the water backpack on the belt. You got to adjust it. I think that looks a lot better instead of being too high in the back. There is a way, like I said, you want to mess around with it, get that clip in here. It's kind of tight, but that's awesome that you can set this Masterverse up with the Origin Snout Spout head and have that water action feature if that's what you want to do. And the head looks great on it. It's because of the details they did with this. And then, of course, I threw that Origins Filmation style Snout Spout head on the Masterverse body. I just left the tank off for now. It's like, I don't see no need for it. But if you want to put it on, you know, kind of looks something like that with the setup. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. You know, articulates well. And this one had this snout that it can articulate up and down, or you can spin it this way if you wanted to. So it's something different, but it works perfect on this head, on this body, if that's what you want to do. And now, finally, jumping back to the Origins body. Obviously, I put the Masterverse Snout Spout head on the Origins body, and it looks huge. But it does work, fits the ball peg. As far as the articulation, you go all the way left to right. It's already sitting down because of the weight of it, but it does go down about that far and back. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Just an oversized head on Origins body. And then this, yeah, it has this tank and armor. I don't know if the armor's going to fit. It doesn't look like it. But let me try that next. See if any of the armor pieces fit on the Origins body. But that's a cool look for this figure. So taking a look at the Origins body with the head off. Yeah, I'm trying to build it up with the Masterverse parts. Yeah, the belt's a no-go. It ain't going to work. Way too loose. That's as far as the buckle goes. So I'm going to take that off. So obviously I took the belt off and I put that armored piece on. Yeah, that's technically it works. It is kind of big. I mean, you can see how wide it is and sloppy. But yeah, if you want to make it work, you could. I think it looks weird, but it's best it fits this figure. Now I just put the head back on with that cross armor piece on the Origins figure, obviously. Yeah, it's kind of looks bulky, but if you want to make it work or do some customization, you could to tighten it up. And now, one last time, setting Snout Spout all back up with his gear head and everything he comes with. Just going to do a few size comparisons for anybody who's curious. So yeah, we have our Masterverse Snout Spout against our new Revolution He-Man, which I already brought in the beginning of the video. But just to see your overall size with those two together and height. So yeah, he's a little taller because of the head, but overall, he's not that much taller. It's just a bigger body, arms, and legs, and it kind of makes him oversized compared to the regular Buck. Well, not really, because He-Man has a bigger Buck now, and abs, but the arms and legs and everything are all the same. But that's those two together. And now here's another quick size comparison, once again with Snout Spout against the Masterverse, or new Eternia 2-Bad, which is still a credible figure to this day. The oversized and just the way they went about his design. So that's those two together. And now here's a size comparison, once again, with our Masterverse Snout Spout against the 2.0 Masterverse Tila and the Masterverse New Eternia Ram Man, because I just, you know, so just to have a female in picture against Snout Spout, and Ram Man 2 had an interesting size and aesthetics, but that's all three of those together. And then for one last size comparison, I brought in the 40th anniversary Skeletor, which was part of the San Diego Comic-Con pack. I mean, I have He-Man too. I bring He-Man in every video. But it's something different. So that's the 40th Skeletor, and I also have the Classics Terraclaw Skeletor, missing his weapons. But just give you an idea, the Classics, the 40th anniversary against the Masterverse Snout Spout as far as size. Okay, and here's one last bonus comparison. Throwing the Masterverse Skeletech figure in our 40th anniversary. He-Man, of course, can Snout Spout. Just have something to look at while I'm finishing the video up. And that's my overall review on the new Master Universe Masterverse Snout Spout figure. I think he came out incredible. I really wasn't expecting to get what we got with this figure. And when I heard he was announced, he looked neat. You know, when they showed images of him at, like, I think it was San Diego Comic-Con, I was like, oh, that looks cool, oversized Snout Spout. But I didn't realize all the accessories it comes with, and just how the head's designed, and how the light can go through to the eyes, and the tank, and yeah, awesome. I love the new buck design. The colors are cool. It's, yeah, more than I expected to get a Snout Spout figure in Masterverse, and I'm glad he went with the oversize. I think he's great. He's still up for pre-order Mattel Creations. You know, the Masterverse are always, yeah, funny figures, as I mentioned, to try to get. They sit up there a while, where Origins seems to sell out quick, so if you're interested in them, go pick one up. He's not that much money, I don't think, for what you're getting. So I appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, take care.